Growing up, every guy around me was obsessed with the same girl, Violet. Whether it was the arrogant bad boy or the perfect honor student. They all wanted her. Then one day, a car accident changed everything. The bad boy went blind. The honor student ended up in a wheelchair. And Violet, she ran away to England, leaving me to deal with the mess she created. But here's the thing, they both blamed me for driving her away. They made my life a living nightmare. The only reason I put up with it. The money, $10,000 a month to be their caretaker. I needed every penny. My dad was Violet's family driver. We were poor. I had no choice. But the day I finally achieved financial freedom, I flipped the dining table and screamed. I'm done with this. I quit. That's when the blind bad boy's eyes suddenly snapped open, staring right at me and the guy in the wheelchair. He jumped up and sprinted to block the door. Crash. A bowl of soup smashed against the floor. It was meant for my face, but Cade, the blind one, missed. His aim wasn't what it used to be. Where's Violet? She promised she'd visit me today. Cade's eyes were shut, his long lashes trembling. His sharp, handsome face showed no emotion. I quickly knelt down to pick up the broken pieces. Violet was probably sipping champagne in London right now, after the car accident that left both guys with their conditions. She disappeared overseas. Immediately, I tried to calm him down. Violet said she's dealing with some major problems right now. Once she sorts everything out, she'll come see you. That's a lie. Violet promised me she'd overcome anything to be with me. It's you, isn't it? You drove her away. Kate couldn't see, so he followed my voice, stepping forward blindly. Don't move. There's broken glass everywhere, I shouted. But he didn't care. His bare feet stepped right onto the ceramic shards, blood pooling beneath them. He didn't even flinch. He found me, grabbed a fistful of my hair and yanked my head back, forcing me to look up at him. His voice was venomous. It's because of you. Because you're in love with me. She got jealous and left because of you. The pain in my scalp made me want to fight back, but his words made me freeze. He was right. I was in love with Cade. But Violet didn't leave because she was jealous. He left because she was scared. The family would blame her for the accident. And honestly, two people with their conditions were just baggage to her now. But I could never tell Kate the truth. Before Violet left, she made me a deal. If I took good care of them and said nice things about her, she'd pay me $10,000 a month. Oh, and one more thing. Don't contact her unless it's an emergency. I was just a broke college student. I needed that money desperately to help my struggling family. Kate kept interrogating me, demanding I call Violet and apologize for whatever I supposedly did to drive her away. I stayed silent. My silence made him furious. Are you mute? Call her right now. You think just because Violet's gone I'll suddenly fall for you? Dream on. His words were cruel, cutting deep. He kept blaming me for everything. Then he felt something cold drop onto his skin. A tear, my tear. Finally, he shut up. My dad was Violet's family driver. I'd known my whole life I could never compete with her. I was just her shadow. Dad always told me to keep Violet happy, to take care of her. That's how I got into the expensive international high school she attended, by being her loyal sidekick. That's where we met Cade. Rich kids at that school didn't bother with scholarship students like me, but their followers. They loved taking out their frustrations on us. Violet was gorgeous, witty, and untouchable. They couldn't mess with her, so they targeted me instead. One day, while I was doing Violet's cleaning duty for her, a group of girls cornered me in the back courtyard. They laughed at me, called me Violet's lapdog. But I'd compromised my dignity for money. I gripped my broom, head down, silent. That's who I've always been, quiet, invisible. Dad once said he wished I could be more like Violet, lively and carefree. But Dad never understood. I didn't have the luxury of being carefree. When the girls got bored of mocking me, they started shoving me around. Suddenly, a boy jumped out from behind a huge tree. His school uniform hung loose on his shoulders, half unbuttoned. Can you shut up? You're interrupting my nap. God, girls are so annoying. He waved them away like they were flies. That boy was Cade. He was like a prince from my fantasies, swooping in to save poor, pathetic me. I fell for him right then and there. Later, when he fell for Violet, he'd ask me to deliver gifts to her. Sometimes he'd bring me little snacks as thanks. Such small acts of kindness, but to me, they burned like an eternal flame, fueling my secret love. I hid my feelings perfectly. Nobody knew I loved Cade. For 3 years of high school and into college, I kept that secret locked away. I poured my heart out on a private Twitter account, never even using his real name. I called him my light. But Violet found it. He ran up to Kate one day laughing. Hey, I'm playing matchmaker. My best friend has a crush on you. You two should date. I remember running after her, terrified, trying to stop her. Kate's reaction was even more dramatic than mine. He shouted, "Are you kidding? I'm not even interested in you. And you're amazing. Why would I want her? She's so plain." I couldn't pick her out of a crowd. Violet chased after him, playfully hitting him. He dodged, laughing. They ran around like it was all a big joke. And me, I just stood there frozen, not knowing what to do. I didn't even dare lift my head, terrified they'd notice me. I clutched my shirt, unable to move. As long as my dad worked for Violet's family, I had to keep her happy. After that day, they never mentioned it again. And I became even quieter, always trailing behind Violet like a ghost. I'd seen Cade playfully tug Violet's hair. She'd spin around and slap his arm and he'd just laugh wild and free. Back then, I touched my short hair and wished it could grow longer. Now my hair was finally long, just in time for Cade to use it to humiliate me. He was gentle with Violet, but had zero patience for me. After cleaning up the broken pieces, I saw him sitting on the carpet, his bare feet still bleeding. He didn't seem to feel any pain. His eyes were closed, lost in thought. I went downstairs to get the first aid kit. In the living room, Rowan sat in his wheelchair reading a financial magazine. When he saw me, he looked up, his voice dripping with fake concern. Are you okay? Kate's been in a terrible mood since he lost his vision. I'm sorry you have to deal with this. I'll talk to him. Liar. Kate had been shouting at me for nearly 10 minutes. Rowan heard everything from downstairs, but didn't say a word to stop it. He just wanted me to be his brother's punching bag. I've been taking care of them for almost a month now. Kate was unpredictable and impossible to please. But Rowan, he was polite, refined, gentle. He wore thin framed glasses, always had a slight smile, and had a tiny mole at the corner of his eye. That made him look even softer. Only I knew the truth. His smile never reached his eyes. His gentleness was just a mask. He looked down on me. People from his world always looked down on girls like me. Poor, desperate, clinging to wealthy people willing to give up their dignity for money. Rowan was a star graduate from my university. He'd given a speech on campus once. That's where he first saw me carrying a huge pile of Violets' Amazon packages. It was pouring rain. The path was slippery. I was juggling 7 or 8 heavy boxes, couldn't hold an umbrella, and had draped my raincoat over the packages to keep them dry. Going up the stairs, I slipped and fell, crashing right into Rowan, who'd just finished his speech. A crowd of admirers surrounded him asking questions. He saw me fall, walked over and gently helped me up. He even gathered all the scattered packages and handed them back to me. I remember thinking, well, what a nice guy. That was before I started taking care of him. One day I took him to the park. The sun was bothering his legs, so I took off my jacket and draped it over his lap. I told him to wait while I ran to buy a proper blanket. When I came back, my jacket was gone. Rowan noticed my confused look and explained gently. Some bratty kid saw I was in a wheelchair and ripped it off as a prank. I felt bad for him. What a little troublemaker. But when I pushed him home, I spotted something navy blue in a nearby trash can, the exact color of my jacket. I went back to check. I grabbed a kid playing nearby and asked. Did you see who threw this blue jacket in the trash? The boy pointed a sticky finger toward the park entrance. The guy in the chair. He told me he'd give me $5 if I tossed it. Said it smelled like wet dog. My stomach dropped, leaving a hollow ache where my sympathy used to be. I looked back at the house, looming like a fortress of glass and steel against the gray sky. Rowan. The perfect honor student. The gentle victim. I walked over to the trash can. My jacket, a cheap navy windbreaker I'd bought at a thrift store, was sitting on top of a pile of soda cans and fast food wrappers. It didn't smell like wet dog. It smelled like the lavender laundry detergent my mother used to buy before she passed. It smelled like me. I picked it up, shook off the wrapper clinging to the sleeve, and felt a cold clarity wash over me. Cade was a hurricane, loud, destructive, and obvious. You knew when Cade was coming to hurt you. But Rowan? Rowan was black ice. You didn't know you were in danger until your back was already broken. I walked back to the house, clutching the jacket. When I entered the living room, Rowan was still there, turning the page of his magazine with a delicate, manicured finger. Did you find the little delinquent? Rowan asked, looking up. The light caught his wire-rimmed glasses, hiding his eyes in a glare of white reflection. No, I lied. My voice was steady, surprisingly so. Just a misunderstanding. A pity. You liked that jacket, didn't you? Even if it was, well, a bit worn. He offered that soft, sympathetic smile. The one that had fooled everyone at the university. It's fine, I said. I need to check on Cade's feet. Rowan's smile twitched, just for a fraction of a second. Be careful. He's in a mood. I think he broke a vase earlier. Or maybe it was a bowl. He's so volatile now. It must be hard for you, dealing with a brute like him. And you love it, I thought. You love that he's broken because now you're the only one standing tall, even if you're sitting down. I went upstairs, the first aid kit heavy in my hand. Cade hadn't moved. He was still sitting on the floor of his bedroom, surrounded by the porcelain graveyards of the soup bowl. The blood had dried dark and tacky on the soles of his bare feet. He looked like a fallen angel in a Renaissance painting, tragic, beautiful, and utterly defeated. Get out, he rasped, not turning his head. I'm just going to clean your feet, Cade. Then I'll leave. I said get out. I don't need your pity. I don't need you. I know, I said softly, kneeling beside him. I opened the kit, the smell of rubbing alcohol cutting through the scent of cold soup. You need Violet. But she's not here. I am. He flinched when the cotton swab touched his heel. His hand shot out, grabbing my wrist. His grip was iron-hard, trembling with restrained violence. Stop saying her name, he whispered, his voice cracking. Why isn't she here? She said we were forever. I looked at his blind eyes, the cloudy gray that used to be a piercing blue. I remembered the day Violet left. She was packing her Louis Vuitton suitcases, checking her reflection in the mirror. Look, she had told me, I can't do the nurse thing. It's gross. And depressing. Just, keep them alive, okay? I'll send the checks. She's scared, Cade, I lied again, the taste of it bitter on my tongue. She's fighting with her parents to come back to you. Cade released my wrist. He slumped forward, burying his face in his hands. I can't see anything, he sobbed, the fight finally draining out of him. It's just black. It's all black. I spent the next hour picking glass out of his skin with tweezers. He didn't speak. He just breathed, ragged and heavy. When I finished, I bandaged his feet and helped him into bed. As I pulled the duvet up to his chin, his hand shot out again, finding my fingers. Your hands, he murmured, his brow furrowing. They're rough. I froze. Violet's hands were soft, lotion-slathered, manicured. My hands were calloused from years of scrubbing floors, washing cars, and holding brooms while girls like Violet laughed. Dry skin, I whispered. Winter air. He lingered for a second, his thumb brushing over a callus on my palm. You smell like lavender, he said, sounding confused. Violet always smells like Chanel No. 5. I used her laundry detergent, I lied. Go to sleep, Cade. I pulled my hand away and fled the room before my heart could betray me. 3 months passed. The dynamic in the house shifted, growing darker, tighter. The money came every month, $10,000 wired from a shell corporation in London. It paid for my dad's heart medication. It paid for our debt. But the cost was my soul. Rowan was becoming bolder in his torment. It was subtle gaslighting. He would will himself into the kitchen while I was cooking and accidentally knock over the salt shaker into the soup I'd spent hours making, then sweetly suggest I was becoming clumsy. He would hide Cade's Braille audiobooks and tell Cade I had misplaced them. He wanted Cade to hate me. And he wanted me to break. One rainy Tuesday, I was in the library dusting the shelves. Cade was sitting in the armchair, listening to the news. He had grown quieter lately, less explosive, more brooding. Lena, Cade said. He had started calling me by a nickname, dropping the formal, you, or hey. Read to me. The machine voice is annoying. I hesitated. What do you want to read? The one on the desk. The Great Gatsby. I picked up the book. I sat on the floor near his feet and began to read. My voice was low, steady. I read for an hour, losing myself in the story. You have a good voice, Cade interrupted suddenly. I stopped. Thank you. It sounds sad. He turned his head toward me, his unseeing eyes trying to focus. Why are you sad? You're getting paid a fortune to babysit 2 cripples. You should be happy. Money doesn't fix everything, Cade. It fixes a lot. It fixed Violet's life. She's probably partying in Soho right now. She loves you, I said automatically. It was the script. Does she? Cade's voice hardened. It's been 4 months. Not one phone call. Just you relaying messages. Why won't she call me? Her phone was confiscated by her dad. For 4 months? Cade let out a bitter laugh. I'm blind, Lena, not stupid. Well, maybe I was stupid. He leaned forward. Tell me the truth. Is she even coming back? My heart hammered against my ribs. I looked at him, the boy I had loved since high school, the boy who had saved me from bullies even if he didn't remember it. He deserved the truth. But the truth would destroy the contract, and my dad needed the medicine. She. Crash. We both jumped. In the doorway, Rowan had accidentally rammed his wheelchair into a small side table, knocking over a lamp. Oops, Rowan said, his face impassive. Interrupting a tender moment. The maid and the beast. Shut up, Rowan, Cade snapped. Just checking in, Rowan wheeled closer. By the way, Cade, did Lena tell you? I got a postcard from Violet today. It was addressed to me. Not you. The air left the room. What? Cade whispered. Read it to him, Lena, Rowan said, pulling a postcard from his pocket. He held it out to me, his eyes gleaming with malice. I took it. It was a picture of Big Ben. On the back, in Violet's looping handwriting, having a blast. Met a cute Duke. Hope the boys aren't driving you crazy. XOXO, V. It wasn't addressed to Rowan. It was addressed to me. Rowan had stolen my mail. Read it, Rowan commanded. It says. I stammered. It says she misses you both. She's working hard on her parents. Rowan laughed, a cold, dry sound. Liar. Give it to me. He snatched it back and read the real message aloud, emphasizing the part about the cute Duke. Cade's face went pale, then red. The veins in his neck bulged. She met someone else. She's Violet, Rowan said softly. What did you expect, brother? You're useless now. We both are. Get out. Cade roared. He stood up, stumbling, swinging his arms wildly. He hit the bookshelf, books tumbling down on him. Both of you. Get out. Rowan smirked at me and wheeled himself away. Clean this up, Lena. The breaking point didn't come with a bang, but a whisper. 2 weeks after the postcard incident, my father passed away. It was a heart attack in his sleep. Peaceful. I took 3 days off. When I returned, the house was a disaster. Rowan had refused to let the temporary agency nurse help him, and Cade hadn't eaten. I walked into the dining room. Rowan was at the head of the table, waiting. Cade was slumped in his chair. Nice vacation? Rowan asked, slicing into a steak the delivery service had brought. While we were here rotting. My father died, I said, my voice hollow. Rowan paused, fork halfway to his mouth. Then he shrugged. He was just a driver. At least now your family has fewer expenses. Something inside me snapped. It was a physical sensation, like a rubber band popping in my chest. The fear, the obligation, the financial leash, it all dissolved in the heat of pure, white rage. I looked at the $10,000 check sitting on the counter that Rowan had left there, a taunt. I walked over to the table. What did you say? I asked quietly. I said, Rowan sneered, looking up, he was a servant. Like you. Now, serve the soup. It's getting cold. I grabbed the edge of the heavy mahogany dining table. I didn't know I had the strength. Maybe it was adrenaline. Maybe it was 3 years of high school bullying and 5 months of this hell. I screamed. A primal, guttural sound that tore from my throat. I heaved. The table tipped. Plates, crystal glasses, the steak, the soup tureen, everything slid and crashed onto the marble floor in a cacophony of destruction. Rowan wheeled back frantically, soup splashing onto his pristine trousers. Are you insane? Cade jumped up, his chair clattering behind him. What's happening? Lena. I'm done. I screamed, my voice echoing off the high ceilings. I quit. I am not your servant. I am not your punching bag. And I am certainly not going to stand here and let you insult my father. I turned to Cade. He was freezing, looking toward my voice with wide, terrified eyes. And you, I said, tears streaming down my face. You pathetic, blind idiot. Violet isn't coming back. She's in London sleeping with half of the aristocracy. She pays me to lie to you. She hates cripples. She thinks you're baggage. Cade looked like I'd slapped him. Lena. My name isn't Lena. I yelled. It's Elena. And I loved you. In high school, when you saved me from those girls, I loved you. I was the one who left the snacks in your locker. I was the one who wrote the tweets. Violet stole it all. She took the credit because she wanted a toy, and you fell for it because you only see what's on the surface. Silence. Absolute, ringing silence. I turned to Rowan. He was staring at me, his mouth slightly open. For the first time, he looked afraid. And you? I hissed, stepping over the broken glass toward him. You're not a victim, Rowan. You're a monster. I saw you throw my jacket away. I saw you switch the pills. I know you're the one who makes Cade's life miserable because you're jealous that he was the golden boy. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the keys to the house, and threw them at Rowan's chest. Clean up your own mess. I turned and walked out the front door. I didn't look back. For a month, I heard nothing. I moved into a tiny studio apartment. I got a job at a library. It paid minimum wage, but it was quiet. No one screamed at me. No one threw soup at me. I missed Cade. It was a sickness, really. Even after everything, I worried if he was eating. I worried if he was navigating the stairs. But I held firm. Then, the phone calls started. Not from Violet. From a lawyer. Ms. Elena Vance. We represent the estate of the Sterling family. Mr. Cade Sterling is requesting your presence. I hung up. They called again. And again. Finally, a black car pulled up to the library. It wasn't a driver. It was Cade. He was in the passenger seat, wearing dark glasses. He rolled down the window as I walked out of work. Elena, he said. I stopped. My heart did that traitorous flutter. What do you want, Cade? I'm hungry, he said. And I don't know how to cook. Ask Rowan. Or order out. Rowan is gone, Cade said. I walked closer. What do you mean? I kicked him out. After you left, the house was quiet. Too quiet. I started thinking. About the jacket. About the postcards. About the tweets. He took off his glasses. His eyes were still cloudy, but they were red-rimmed. I found your Twitter account. The old one. I had my screen reader go through 3 years of posts. He opened the car door and stepped out, sweeping his cane until it hit the curb. He fumbled his way toward me. You called me your North Star, he whispered. You wrote a poem about the way I tie my tie. Violet never knew how I tied my tie. He reached out, his hands searching the air. I didn't move. His fingers brushed my arm, then traveled up to my face. He traced my jawline, my lips, the tears I hadn't realized were falling. I'm sorry, he choked out. I was so blind. Even when I could see, I was blind. Why are you here, Cade? Because I fired everyone. I don't want a nurse. I don't want a servant. I want you. Not to work for me. Just, to be there. Please. I didn't go back to the mansion. Cade moved into my tiny apartment. He said the mansion felt like a mausoleum. It was cramped. He bumped into walls. But we talked. For the first time, we actually talked. I learned that Cade hated being the bad boy. It was an act to get his father's attention. I learned that he loved classical music, not the rock he blasted in high school. And I learned about the accident. We were driving to the beach, Cade said one night, sitting on my futon. Me, Rowan, and Violet. I was driving. Violet was in the passenger seat. Rowan was in the back. What happened? The brakes failed. We were coming down the winding cliff road. I stomped on the pedal, and it went to the floor. I tried to downshift, but we were going too fast. I swerved to avoid a truck and we went over the guardrail. He paused, his hands shaking. The police said the brake line had been cut. They ruled it as vandalism. But, before we got in the car, I saw Rowan near the wheels. I didn't think anything of it. He said he dropped his phone. I felt a chill. You think Rowan cut the brakes? He was always jealous, Cade said. Dad left the company to me in his will. If I died, it all went to Rowan. But he was in the car, I argued. He has a death wish, Cade said. Or he thought the airbags in the back would save him. He didn't count on being paralyzed. He wanted me dead. 3 months of peace. That's what we had. Cade was learning to navigate the world. He was taking piano lessons again. We were happy. Then Violet came back. She didn't knock. She just showed up at my apartment door, looking like a runway model in a trench coat and sunglasses. Well, she said, looking around my studio with disdain. This is cozy. Violet, I said, blocking the door. What are you doing here? I heard Cade is living with the help. It's scandalous, really. I came to save him. She pushed past me. Cade was in the kitchen, making coffee. He froze. Violet? Baby. She ran to him, throwing her arms around his neck. Oh, I missed you so much. England was dreadful. I cried every day. Cade stood stiff as a board. He didn't hug her back. You cried every day? Cade asked, his voice monotone. Was that before or after you met the Duke? Violet pulled back. What? Who told you that? It was this little rat, wasn't it? She glared at me. No, Cade said. It was Rowan. But that doesn't matter. Why are you here, Violet? The money run out. I'm here because I love you. You love the lifestyle, Cade corrected. And you know what? I don't have it anymore. I gave the company to the board. I'm living in a studio apartment. I'm broke, Violet. It was a lie. Cade was still worth millions. But Violet didn't know that. Her face changed instantly. The sweetness vanished, replaced by a sneer. You're kidding. You gave it away. You idiot. And there it is, Cade smiled. Get out, Violet. You can't be serious. You're choosing her. She's a nobody. She's your driver's daughter. She's the woman who stayed, Cade said. She's the woman who cleaned the blood off my feet while you were sipping champagne. She's the woman I love. I gasped. He had never said it before. Violet looked between us, realized she had lost, and let out a screech of frustration. Fine. Rot in this dump together. She stormed out, slamming the door. We thought it was over. But Rowan wasn't done. A week later, a package arrived. No return address. Inside was a USB drive. We plugged it into my laptop. It was a video file. Security footage from the garage on the day of the accident. Grainy black and white footage showed Rowan kneeling by the tires of Cade's sports car. He held a pair of wire cutters. He snipped the line, then looked directly at the camera and smiled. But the video didn't stop there. A few minutes later, Violet walked into the garage. She saw Rowan. She saw the cutters. They argued. Violet looked terrified. Rowan grabbed her arm, whispered something, and she nodded frantically. Then she got into the car. She knew, Cade whispered. She knew the brakes were cut, and she got in the car anyway. Why would she do that? I asked, horrified. Because he threatened her, Cade said. Or, because she thought they would just have a fender bender. She didn't think we'd go off a cliff. The phone rang. It was Rowan. Did you get my gift? His voice was smooth, like oil. You're sick, I said. I'm pragmatic. I wanted you to see that your precious Violet wasn't just a runaway. She was an accomplice. I'm turning myself in, by the way. The guilt is just eating me up. Why? Cade asked. Why show us this now? Because, Rowan laughed, if I'm going down, I'm taking everyone with me. Violet is already being arrested at the airport. I tipped off the police. And as for me, well, the game is over. You win, brother. You got the girl. Even if she is the help. A gunshot rang out. Then silence. The funeral was small. Rowan had left a note confessing to everything. The tampering, the manipulation, the abuse. Violet was facing years in prison for conspiracy and attempted murder. Her family had disowned her. We were free. 6 months later, Cade had surgery. A new experimental procedure for his optic nerves. I sat by his hospital bed as the doctor unwrapped the bandages. Open your eyes slowly, the doctor said. Cade's eyelids fluttered. He blinked against the harsh light. He looked around the room, confused. Then, his gaze landed on me. I held my breath. I wasn't the glamorous girl in the high school photos. I was tired, wearing a t-shirt, with messy hair. Cade stared at me for a long time. His eyes, now a clear, vivid blue again, filled with tears. Finally, he whispered. What? I asked, my voice trembling. He reached out and touched my face, this time seeing what he was touching. Finally, he said, I can see the light. Epilogue. We didn't move back to the mansion. We sold it. We bought a small house near the coast, with a garden full of wildflowers, but no violets. I went back to school to get my degree in literature. Cade started a foundation for the visually impaired. Sometimes, he still wakes up from nightmares, reaching for me in the dark. And I'm always there. You know, he told me one morning, watching the sunrise over the ocean. I'm glad I went blind. Don't say that. I mean it. If I hadn't, I would have married Violet. I would have become my father. I would have never seen you. He pulled me close, kissing the top of my head. It took losing my sight to find my vision, he said. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like a shadow. I felt like the sun.